Hi, everybody. This is day 374. And let me make sure that everything is working. Okay. So, I have to tell you the speed of everything is so fast, and I don't think that's a good thing. Um, I want absolutely to speak for Team Fine Richard Halliday that we wanted this yesterday. But the the problem is that just because things are going really fast, it doesn't mean that you can get resolution fast, that you can get justice. That it seems that the speed is what um, is a tool that the criminals use to not get justice. And what do I mean by that? Well, we know that the media is used as a weapon. And let me make sure this is, I don't know why that's there. That the media is used as a weapon, and they go so fast with these stories, and they do not vet like they should, at least not in this case. And I don't even know if they mean to really vet. I don't know. Not in this case. I think it was a plot. I think it was a collusion, a conspiracy, and whatever you want to say about conspiracy, they've tried to make that word um, like a fake word, but it's not. It's a real, and liars and evil doers together. They always have conspired together. And so this plot, this scheme, whatever you want to call it, by Bob Moore using Leilani Hart, just everything very, very quickly so that you just don't see between the lines, that you don't see the real um, crimes that are happening. And you know Team Fine Richard Halliday's tenacity to stick with us, to do this every day, to investigate what the hell is going on. I've heard so many times, what the hell is going on? Do you know? Well, we've been trying to find out. So, and I think that the speed of Bob Moore and trying to be a content, well, he's not trying to be, he's a content thief. He's a content thief because he wanted to get this out very quickly. He's under investigation. And, you know, we have numerous reports from law enforcement that give us the character and the reputation of Leilani Hart. We have corroborated that over and over again by talking with her victims. We've spoken to her victims. And I mean, one of them was being threatened in Hawaii, and she even threatened him with the whole family, with the Samoan criminal clan there. Uh, yeah, gang, whatever. Um, so, we have enforcers been collecting evidence to corroborate what law enforcement has told us. Um, and, we have submitted that and submitted that and submitted that, reported that, reported that, reported that, um, and numerous agencies and institutions, and that's why we have state criminal investigations going on right now, federal criminal investigations going on right now, and also international investigations going on. And that is really important for everyone to know, because it seems like some of these media outlets are backpedaling. It was really late last night, and we had decided that something needed to go out. We put together that quick poem about Bob Moore being the content thief. We also released today, because of the speed of everything. Today we put together, brainstormed, a media alert, to let everyone know the stories that we have broken. And these are just a few of them. We have had breaking news. I want to say 70% of the time, maybe I'm over exaggerating, 60% of the time, breaking news, breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. We have been breaking the news on this case for 4 years, and so many aspects of it. And so, in one of the breaking news stories that I have today, is that I'll repeat, is that Leilani Hart was parading her interference in Richard's case on Fort Bliss in El Paso. She was parading it. Okay? And that's how so many people knew. So many people knew. But if she has some kind of connection to a criminal network and people are afraid of her, right? Then that would explain why so many people didn't want to come forward, didn't, just wash their hands of this. They didn't want to get blood on their hands too, or, be threatened, bullied, whatever. I wouldn't say, I probably should take that back, if they would have come forward to have blood on their hands. I feel like she has blood on her hands. I think there's many that have blood on their hands when it comes to Richard's very, very brutal murder and them dishonoring his remains. And everyone asks, how can that happen on Fort Bliss? The murder of a soldier in uniform. Remember, the reporter, he was in uniform. He was forcibly removed from his barracks room in uniform and murdered. And how can they remove his remains from Fort Bliss, murder him there, and remove his remains? How can they do that and there not be any consequences? Okay? And this is the question that we have been getting for so long. How can a group of people that are criminal run a criminal network on Fort Bliss, and then a soldier reports it? It's not right. This is our military. You're not allowed to turn our military into a criminal syndicate. They are there to defend the Constitution. They were reported. How in the world can a soldier that is defending the Constitution, that's defending the people, the service members on Fort Bliss and the people in El Paso, alerting the authorities of criminal activity on Fort Bliss, calling 911 for help, calling Washington, D.C., reporting, calling FBI Houston, reporting. Be forcibly removed from his barracks room, murdered, and his remains taken off of Fort Bliss and dishonored and disrespected. And then the perpetrators think there's no consequences. That is what we have to ask ourselves, especially since Leilani Hart was parading, bragging about her man on the inside, her CID sex toy boy, her dirty CID sex toy boy, parading him around, parading the fact that they were interfering in Richard's case. And the 4 years of hell that we have been through every day, allowed to continue when very easily Richard's case could be solved. Very easily. With their tools, with their authority, with their jurisdiction. And remember, the state has concurrent jurisdiction with the federal in this case. This is a capital murder case, a capital criminal murder case. The state has jurisdiction. And if you don't understand it too much, I understand, because we have to look it all up. Walmart case, state jurisdiction, federal jurisdiction. This is the same thing with Richard's case. And thank God it's in Texas, because Texas has the death penalty. And the death penalty needs to be on the table. That lethal injection needs to be on the table. There must be consequences. You know, the other word for that, the correct word for that, is restitution, right? And when restitution cannot be paid, then you have to use the death penalty. And how can things be made right with restitution when they forcibly remove a soldier in uniform from his barracks room, murder him, and then take his remains and disrespect them? How can they make that up? It can't be. The death penalty must be on the table. And, you know, I'm from Texas. I lived in Texas. I grew up in Texas. I went to school in Texas. I met my husband in Texas. We had our first child in Texas. You know, thank God for Texas, because their death penalty, their death row is tight, very tight. Once you're on it, it's what? It's virtually zero chance you can get off of it. And the fact that Bob Moore, a content thief, trying to move quickly and capitalize on Richard's notice of death when he interfered in Richard's case, when he used Leilani Hart, the very mother of Richard's platoon leader, a convicted criminal with a long criminal history. Reports, and this is all from Who Said So, not me. No, the law enforcement reports say so. Her victims say so. And there's a lot of them. And that's why last night on my live stream, it was discussed. Her son Eddie, ETI, was discussed, saying, alleging that she murdered him, that alleging that he wouldn't be surprised if she had a hand in it. Now, what does that mean? That means that he doesn't put it past her. The law enforcement don't put it past her either, because she has a history of violence. She has a history of stalking. She has a history of wanting to kill. There's a report she wanted to kill her husband, allegedly. Well, it's in a report. They're afraid for her husband's life, so they have to go to law enforcement and say she's trying to kill her husband. And now you have Bob Moore trying to capitalize on Richard's notice of death when he was using the very prime suspect in Richard's death to interfere in the investigation, to obstruct justice in Richard's investigation. Now, if that is not the most unethical, evil thing you've ever heard, these people have no boundaries. And his wife works for UTEP, okay? And Angela Kachurga works for Kathleen Gannon. So it really explains why President Heather Wilson was so callous and committed a crime, did not honor our open records request, because Kathleen Gannon works at UTEP. Her husband, Bob Moore, was interfering in our son's case, obstructing justice, retaliating against a whistleblower in our son's case, without divulging, without telling everybody, giving that disclaimer. Oh, by the way, Leilani Hart's a convicted criminal. By the way, the very whistleblower was reporting on her. She was the very subject of his criminal complaint with Dirty Agent CID Tavita Nusa. Oh, by the way, she's the mother of Dallas Hart, Richard's platoon leader. You read, Richard Halliday and family will get justice. Thank you. I pray you are able to get the answers. Yes, thank you. Hello again, Mama Halliday. Thank you so much for your prayers, for your love. Thank you, Anicia. Thank you, No. Thank you, Danielle. That goes back to the reports that her son was reporting the abuse to her about multiple crimes occurring within the family, it seems. Is this why that child was so chastised and was the at the brunt of her yeah, of her abuse due to speaking the truth? It seems this way, in my opinion. Um, Eddie didn't keep his mouth shut, did he? I don't know. I don't know that case. I know that last night there were statements made that I think that law enforcement need to do some investigating. They need to do some investigating because she absolutely has um, the ability, the character to do violence. If she is, because see, we've talked to the victims, okay? We've talked to those that she has um, bullied, that she's had an assault. Um, she absolutely has a violent history and a very dangerous history. It's like, who is she? So, and this was well known. This was well known. It was reported to us. Nobody ever said to us, "Oh, Leilani Hart, she's just such a sweet person. She could never even hurt a fly." No one said that. Quite the opposite. That she's violent. That she follows people around, and bullies them. And that even at church, she'll have an incident. Uh, or whatever the congregation thing is called, because she's LDS. So, oh yes, no, James Hart is absolutely not innocent in all of this. And neither are so many others. We want to make that very clear to those that are following. But, you have to start somewhere and getting accountability. And she is the prime suspect. Dallas Hart is a prime suspect. Tavita Nusa is a prime suspect. We broke that story. We broke that. We broke that Dallas Hart was Richard's platoon leader, and they kept on saying, "Oh, no, 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 no." And we're like, okay, who's his platoon leader? Come on out with it. Who's his platoon leader? Why, when we got there, did they find the need to hide his unit from us? Right? It's 343 was presented to us? No. We wanted 143, not 343. Why wouldn't Ruggiero speak with us? We have that on record. Not willing to speak with us. His first sergeant not willing to speak with us. Why was Captain Yoshida crying? Why was Captain Park absolutely on record interfering in this case, obstructing justice in this case? Yes, we absolutely, James Courtney Hart is, over there at the VA, yes. But the prime suspect is Dallas Hart. And his mother and her boyfriend, her inside man, dirty agent Tavita Nusa. in the CID. And that is so important because we received confirmation in the paperwork that we just received with the notice of death that CID was interfering in our son's case. That's important. That's very important. And there's ongoing investigations, so I have to be kind of careful of what I say. But this is, this is really important to understand what this notice of death, what this means, because we are now in Richard's shoes. We are now able to get the complaints and all the other things that we need to do. And we understand that there's tampering with files, that there's sanitizing files, maybe some deletion of files. I mean, because this is big. This is like Fast and Furious. This is like Iran-Contra. This is Richard Halliday Code Red. And to understand that the whole case all at once, is mind-boggling. And that's why we decided to go with some memes to let people know, to read through the in between the lines and understand. Leilani Hart has nothing was hidden, right? From the authorities, nothing was hidden. The DA absolutely could find out very quickly who murdered Richard. They could do it because she was parading it. She was saying it, that she was interfering in Richard Halliday's case, that she was getting unauthorized access to the files through her man on the inside. And then he showed up. She was parading him. This is my man on the inside. And so absolutely the interference. They never contacted family when Richard went missing. We contacted them. Now 4 years of going through this every day. And I'm asked, is this devastating to you? It's like, I know you cry sometimes. No. Every day. This is devastating every day on so many levels for so many different reasons. My husband's a 30-year veteran. My dad's 23-year veteran. His dad, 22-year veteran. And our son was forcibly taken from the barracks, and Command Sergeant Major Jakovitz is telling us to our face, ha ha ha, it wasn't our fault. We were bringing in girls to have parties during the COVID. Ha ha ha. Like that was not a violation? And he was shaking in his boots because he knew it was. And because he knew that Richard had been forcibly removed from the barracks, murdered, taken off of Fort Bliss, and that his remains were dishonored and desecrated. And they thought that there's no accountability for that the truth would not come out. And Leilani Hart's bragging about it, bragging about interfering in a case like that, when she's the prime suspect, because she thinks people are going to laugh with her. Did Command Sergeant Major Jakovitz laugh with her? Did Major General Clem Coward laugh with her? CID Tavita Nusa did more with her. And they are taking 4 years to tell us, to give us the notice of death, what we knew from day one. And they just wanted to twist us and manipulate us and laugh at us and let us be harassed, let us be threatened for 4 years, when it was very, very clear who the prime suspects were. They even kept Dallas Hart. They still haven't admitted that Dallas Hart was Richard's platoon leader. Who is Richard's platoon leader? It would be so easy to give us a call, give us a name, give us a document. But they can't do it because we have evidence. We have multiple evidence that Dallas Hart was Richard's platoon leader. So the case was not a hard case to solve. It was a CID interference, Leilani Hart's interference. We'll start there. We'll start there. Brunt, yes, especially the accusation made about the father as well. Yes. Oh yeah. I mean, there was so much evidence. I mean, she's reporting incest in her family. She's reporting child pornography in her family, in her household. She's reporting that a 7-year-old child of a Fort Bliss soldier was sexually assaulted, raped, am I allowed to say that word, in her master bedroom by multiple members of her household. That weapons were being bought illegally, that there were death threats in her household. But that's, so that's Leilani Hart notarizing that. We talked to the notary. He confirmed it. We have the FBI number. Why? Because she was distributing it. So we know that. We have the law enforcement reports that corroborate the violence, the long criminal history. We have those all the way back for Hawaii, Colorado, El Paso. Wherever she goes, there's death and destruction. Death and destruction. And, of course, we're not as fast getting the information, but absolutely they had it. They have the tools. They could get it quickly. They absolutely knew. They absolutely knew. And we're the ones that broke the story, not Bob Moore. He's the one that used Leilani Hart. This implicates him. Because don't tell me that Bob Moore of El Paso Matters, of El Paso Community Foundation, does not know Leilani Hart. Absolutely. Absolutely. And they know Texas Hart. Absolutely. So, no, see, okay, so that, thank you. Noah asked if he still is in the Army. Is Dallas Hart alive? He, okay, so when Judge Roger Rodriguez filed his criminal whistleblower complaint with the FBI, Washington, D.C., that's Christopher Wray, with Senator Ted Cruz, with the governor of Texas, with the CIA, with all, he knows what he did because he knows the law enforcement community. He covered everyone he knew to cover. When we reported Nadal Baim, we didn't know to do that. We gave the Nadal Baim CCTV footage and the cashier testimony video and our statement to the local FBI that we were given the contact to, trusting that FBI would do the right thing. But see, in Leilani and Tavita Nusa's case, that report went to the top, and that was in January of 2022, that there was a real problem on the inside, right there in Fort Bliss CID, that there was a problem with interference in the Richard Halliday case on the inside. So, absolutely, Bob Moore knew this was going on. We broke the story. He watches. He doesn't answer us when we want to talk to him. No, he would rather go and participate with the very criminals in this case that are so violent, they even posted a picture of Richard's face superimposed on the death row inmate that had just been executed. That's how violent these people are. And he goes and rubs shoulders with them, plots with them, collaborates with them. But when it comes to calling us, especially since we are the ones that got the notice of death, we are the ones that received the casualty file. But no, he's plotting to retaliate against the very whistleblower a year later, right? A year later, that is obviously involved in the murder of our son. Obviously. Why? Because she's parading it. She's bragging about it. And Tavita chimed in too. Right after that happened, I wanted to answer Noah's question. Right after, in 2022 that report was submitted, Dallas Hart was separated from the Army. Tavita Nusa lost his badge and was separated from the Army. So I don't know. You can decide for yourself. But, we have to endure day in and day out retaliation ourselves, harassment ourselves, vulgar and vile bullying, so many things behind the scene. And while going through this hell of wanting to know where our son is, knowing that our son was deceased, and being blocked, being interfered to help. And people that have been watching understand why we do the live stream. So because a service member, a volunteer son, it could be a son and a daughter. And let's talk about Vanessa Guillen here for a second. Richard is the Vanessa Guillen first absent soldier, right? I didn't say so. The Army said so. He is designated the first DES 1, CONUS DES 1 absent soldier from the Vanessa Guillen absent soldier flowchart, right? The Army said so. Richard is truly the Vanessa Guillen first absent soldier. They didn't really want to give the remains to that family either. Because where are Richard's remains? We want his remains. And from our information, we believe they have his remains. So be it partial, whatever, we want his remains. And the injustice is that, the Vanessa Guillen murder, brutal murder, and Richard's brutal murder were under the same leadership. Lieutenant General Donna Martin in charge of the CID. Same leadership. Things have changed a little since then, but when that happened, in the months of 2020, they were under the same leadership. Bring Richard home. Yes, absolutely. And, yeah, the thought when you're going through it and you know it to be so, and you don't want it to be true, you make sure that you investigate every other possibility, and we did. And everybody knows that. They saw us go over to Mexico. They saw us, it's such a dangerous game that they're playing to not face the facts, because it puts the service members at risk on Fort Bliss. And it puts those soldiers that have been tormented, that mentally tormented on Fort Bliss, at great risk, or even in the military at great because they're trying to dehumanize our soldiers. To say if they're tormented by the military, then they're not people. They're not human. It's really a weaponization of their own. Oh my God. It's like, why do we pay for these programs, And so they're trying to find a way, shift away to say, we didn't mean that we called Richard the Vanessa Guillen first absent soldier. We didn't mean that. Because he is in every respect. And they know it. And asymmetric warfare tactics were employed. To try to hide this, whatever, manipulate it, control it, and then we have the dress blue soldiers coming up to our door to tell us that our son is deceased. We received the notice of death, and Bob Moore, the content thief, wants to capitalize on something that we broke. We broke it. We broke that story. We decided to share that for free. He's despicable, and he doesn't even tell the whole story. And then he tries to manipulate, because El Paso Community Foundation owns El Paso Matters, and they are, there's an investigation going on. And just say a lot of prayers, because we want Richard's remains. And no way should there not be any consequences for what they did. No way. That time has long passed. Long past. And they had their opportunity. Everyone knows it. We gave them the opportunity. That is long past. 4 years it took the Department of the Army to give us that notice of death. That we knew all along. They knew it too. They were already grieving. Captain Yoshida was already crying. So, thank you, everyone. Richard Halliday remains need to be given to his family. Richard Halliday, the family deserve justice. Thank you. All involved deserve the death penalty, in my opinion. Yep. It has to be on the table. So, thank you so much. God bless you. And, please share. Please, pray for those that witnessed that last night, that came on, that was so brave for Eddie's sake, for Eddie's name. Yeah, that was amazing. And behind the scenes, I will tell you that encouraged others to come forward to us behind the scenes, not really on the live stream. And so I want to say thank you to those brave, very brave witnesses. And yeah, and may there be many more, because that is what is going to drive the system to give us justice. Because even with corrupt leaders, we absolutely can demand accountability. We'll never give up. We should never give up. They think they have a lot of power, but they don't, really. They don't. They only have the power that we give them. We pay their bills. They work for us. And so I'm very, very grateful for those that just in the last day have come forward. So thank you very much. God bless you, and I'll be back tomorrow, God willing. Bye-bye.